This is John Scott at Phoenix Sound, and I'm with Boston Culture.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Boston Culture's podcast. I'm Bernard Homosil. We got Patrick Williamson, and we got a very special guest with us today. I would say iconic. I would also even say legend. Today we have a man whose work is known as perfect, amazing experience, high quality, great to work with. We have the man, the myth, the legend, I would say rising phoenix of Phoenix Down Studios. Today we have everyone, John Scott, everybody.
What's up?
Hey.
How's everybody doing?
We're good, man. We're good.
Man, happy to be here.
Thank you. I would honestly start off and say Boston Culture is taking the podcast to the road. We are out in your studios, Phoenix Down Studios out here in Somerville.
White walling it.
Yeah, white walling.
Honestly, from the time I've been here years ago to where you're at now, John, you have expanded. You are honestly evolving, like I told you earlier, like a Pokemon.
Yo, that's the best way anyone's ever given me a compliment. By far, my favorite compliment.
But honestly, man, shout outs to you and all that you're doing. I think that you're a pioneer out here in Boston. I was telling Pat, I think Boston has a lot of hidden talent in the city.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is, like, you need a little bit of light shown on you so people can see that talent. And for me, you're one of the rare gems in Boston who helps shed that light to those other people in Boston to get them out there.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing to do.
So if you wouldn't mind, especially for, like, those who need to know the story of John, the story of Phoenix Down, could you take us a little bit, to the beginnings, the origin story, if you will? Like, Stan Lee it for us.
For sure.
How did you get your spider bite?
So, the original OG spider bite was my brother having a guitar. And that led to me, wanting to play the guitar because my brother played the guitar.
Oh, yeah.
And
Older or
then-
younger?
Older.
Okay.
All of my siblings are older. I have 5 sisters, 1 brother.
Whoosh!
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, youngest is 7. That's motivation, too. You got 6 people who could do better than you. And you're
Hell
like,
yeah.
Hustle.
You got
Five sisters is different.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yep. So played guitar, was in a band, recorded stuff to hear our music back. We want to hear what we sound like. Wanted to record on GarageBand, sounded terrible. Got Pro Tools. Was like, shit, this is fucking hard. Went back and forth between DAWs. Went through high school. Decided to go to Berklee. Finished. Dropped out actually before I finished to start the studio. And then that was in 2012. So I had an internship a little bit before that, like 2 years before that for a year. And that was after my band won a Battle of the Bands competition. So just fate.
Wow.
Fire.
We were not the best band by far. Like, there were so many good bands and, like, metal bands, shit that I really fucked with.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't really even fuck with my band's music at that time.
What type of genre would
It
you
was
put
like
that in?
60s, like, pop. It was, like,
Interesting.
more, it was closer to the Beatles than it was Nirvana. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just felt dated, and our singer, shout out Jamie, is
He
awesome,
watching.
but it wasn't my favorite style of music, but it was the judges' style of music. So we won 33 hours of studio time at Time Bomb Studios. Wow. David Fondiller was the engineer. We did 3 songs or 5 songs or something. Remember, I tracked my own guitar parts at home, like the night before the last day. I took all the bass parts, turned them into MIDI, and then he just asked me to be an intern. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. The old intern left without paying his last month's rent.
Wow.
He was just like, I know I'm out of here, and just dipped. So I was training for a year, got fired for some bullshit. I said I was gonna, I told him I wasn't gonna come in on a Sunday, and he told me we'd had the band mics set up for Monday. I was like, cool. Called me on Sunday night. He was like, what the fuck? And that was it. Then a year later, he left. It was like, John, I'm going back to New York. Could you start a studio? And I was like, I have no clue, but let me talk to my parents and see what I could do. And talk to my dad. He was like, if you dropped out of school, we could afford it. He's like, you take that money and try it.
Wow.
He's like, if this is something you'd want to do after you finish school and the opportunity isn't there, you're gonna be pissed.
Right.
And my mom was on the wave of finish school.
Right. I'm like, Pops is on some revolutionary parenting on that.
They let me go to music school anyway. So it's like, what do you need? You're not going to music school for the piece of paper. No one's really double checking that stuff.
Facts,
you know
facts.
what I mean?
Let me see your resume.
They care about it if you're a doctor, that, you're doing surgery. They want to make sure you actually went to school. But for music, they don't care. They just care how it sounds.
John, can you talk to us about that internship?
Yeah.
Was it like an apprenticeship?
Yeah.
Did you will say or no?
So it was definitely like an apprenticeship in that I didn't have as much of just the daily stuff because we didn't do enough of the daily stuff. It wasn't clean. There's dog piss on the ground. Like just it wasn't as nice, but it didn't matter. The music, I didn't even notice. Yeah. Like to me, it was still the best place in the world. My favorite place I'd ever been. And it like has evolved so much from that. But yeah, being there in the beginning. What was your original question?
No, just like the internship. Was it like an apprenticeship?
Yeah.
Like it looks like from what you just said, you don't even care about the surroundings so much. You really just care about being in that spot to work and being around the music.
Yeah, no, learning about how to do something that you want to be able to do is like someone teaching you magic. Like literally like some Harry Potter level, like I would give up anything if this were real. And then to find out it is real for some people, the chance that you could get to do it is just exhilarating the whole time. And you're listening to good music and you're seeing like the veil get, pulled back and you are going to learn how to do it and things are getting easier. But it took a fucking long time to get good.
Yeah.
It's a fucking struggle for a really long time and it's frustrating as hell. And I have to remember that now when I'm like training people that like, everyone fucking sucked. Everyone equally sucked at everything. No one could like walk.
Right. Yeah.
When they
like,
started out.
Look back at what you're good at now and think about, there was a time where you sucked at it.
Yeah.
Like, and I really appreciate what you bringing up in terms of you really got to go all in. Like I can think of,
no
people
plan B.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there probably listening right now that have 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Cause maybe the right foot is in a comfortable, secure position and, the left foot is their dreams. And it's like, sometimes you got to just dive in and you talking about the kind of like balance of really believing yourself and doubting yourself and going through all those.
I don't know if I believed in myself when I started the studio. I was trying to impress my now wife because we weren't together.
So it worked.
I was trying to
worked.
I was trying to get her back and I was like she knew I wanted to do something that would impress her and let her know that I wasn't going to be a broke musician.
Yeah.
Because I know that's always a fear, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're like if you're going to get married to someone, you want to be able to provide, and music oftentimes takes a long time.
Yeah.
And this wasn't an exception. It just was, a big fucking gesture.
Yeah.
Like I didn't make money the first 2 years, lost money big time the first year, second year, took till 19 months to like break even.
Wow.
How long did it take to get her back? Did she?
So I started the studio April and then we were back together in December. So like 9 months.
Wow.
And was she there for the growth of like it all? Like
no, so
or it's just back in December.
So we were long distance for like a grip. So we met in high school in Arizona senior year, right before we graduated, basically.
So she was in Arizona at the time.
She was in Arizona and then New Orleans the year that I started the studio.
Got you.
So yeah, it was just April or March or whatever. I remember getting the call from David, talking to my dad and my mom about it, and then I remember asking my brother if I should do it, and he was like, "Could you?" He's like, "What are the numbers at?" He's like, "Could you make that much a month?" And I was like, I think maybe.
Right.
And it was like I think it was like 1,800 or something, which is not the number you need to make. I was not even thinking about electricity, internet, all the other bills didn't even come across like my mind of how much harder of a hurdle this was going to be to like start a fucking business.
Right.
And I didn't understand the difference between a job and a business either. A business is something that makes money for you, and a job is something that you do. So like
take notes.
Hold on.
Yeah, take notes on that one.
More time.
So I learned this from Jeezy.
That's real. That's real.
Yeah, the hustle. He's a pro, so I definitely took all the tips that I could. I was away 200 days one year for him. I took 100 flights in 2018. Wow. To Atlanta, LA, New York, and Miami, and this A room was just like not getting used. I didn't have really like other engineers. I had one room that I was renting out that was like supplementing the rent.
Okay.
But it was all the wrong way to do it.
Yeah.
Now looking back, had I started it earlier, I don't know if it would have, stopped anything else, because like things happen for a reason. And because I got to focus so much on like my own grind, it, made it so I wasn't just focused on the business. I was focused on the craft. And then once the craft was there, that brought people and then you can fucking build the business and the music. Like you need a community and people trying to learn, and if you got people trying to learn and you can teach them, and I got good at teaching, and now I got a bunch of engineers that I taught, like almost a dozen engineers that are like, that's what they do now.
Yeah.
I'm so curious. How old were you when you were starting off?
22.
Goodness. Can you imagine going to your mom?
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I'm
what
out
I
of
was doing
school
at
right
22.
now. You with it? Like, no way, bro.
Right.
How did you convince
No, I was-
her? You convinced dad. Your brother was on board. But like, how did mom feel when you?
She wasn't paying for it, so she didn't really she didn't have to worry about it too much.
Yeah.
She wasn't with him shooting in the. You know what I'm saying? In the studio.
Right.
She hooked me up with $500 a month for a little bit, and that was amazing. I was like, she believed.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
right, right.
no
That's
doubt.
all you
So
need.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So both I was super lucky and fortunate to have a cushion, and would not have been able to start the studio without it.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you, parents.
That's
Yeah,
solid,
yeah.
man.
Shout out to the parents. Yo, so you were mentioning that you didn't necessarily believe in yourself when you were starting the studio. Like, where are you in your belief?
I might have believed in myself too much when I started the studio, but I maybe shouldn't have. Like the first month that I had the studio, I had maybe 3 sessions. The first year combined, it feels like maybe I had like 20 or 30 sessions, and now I'll have 30 sessions in a week.
So
You know what I
jeez.
mean? So we're talking orders of magnitude. Like the first couple of years being on the couch and just waiting and hoping a client wouldn't show up because it's so bad and you're so depressed and the business is so in the shit. Like, yeah, but then it fucking turns around and it's like, thank God I didn't give up.
Yeah, no, that's
There
a
you
fact.
go.
You know that picture of the dude digging in the diamonds right there and
Yeah,
he's like
yeah,
about
yeah.
to give up.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, it makes me think of Tyler, the Creator, goes back on old posts that he had, and in like 2019, he was like, yo, should I just finish school or should I really try this music shit?
Yeah,
and
give
he
me
was like, yo,
goosebumps.
thank you
Yeah,
to 19-year-old
goosebumps,
me.
bro.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I'm not gonna lie, social media is very big. I would be so curious to see, John, your Twitter, what you said at any point. Like, what were you saying? Like,
You
I wasn't
deleted
saying
everything.
much. I wasn't saying much.
Yeah.
you were
Wasn't
working. You were
super
working on the
active.
craft.
Exactly.
Yeah.
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 And so, you were showing us the A room, and we've been walking around a little bit. How much is customizing the space that you're in, important
much.
in fostering the creativity? Yeah.
A lot. Like this studio space, if someone's not doing it at their house, which is so possible nowadays, people could just like send us stuff. Why do studios need to exist is a totally valid question. Right? Everyone can do it themselves, but there's something different. Even my client last night, Cam, shout out Cam G's, was like, I can write when I get to the studio. Something about my brain just turns on. It's like it's go time. There's pressure. And having a space like that, it's just rare nowadays. Where can you go where it's yours?
Yes.
Other than
Right.
like the place that's already yours, which usually you share.
Yeah.
And you have to clean up.
Right.
So like
And it's like,
Disneyland isn't private, but like this is like a private Disneyland /
I like that.
therapy session, you
Yeah.
know?
I'm not gonna lie, me with like my mind, honestly, like visionary thinking, crazy stuff. I feel like you're
That's
like
humble.
the mini like hip hop Wayfair. Like you literally create little vibes for people. Like no, I'm not in the studio where they're gonna be strict, where they're gonna say I can't light up or anything.
Yeah.
You're like, no, come here, do what you want, write, lie on the floor, do this while you
Yeah,
work.
it's a weird
whatever.
Yeah, we're in a weird business. It's not regular. It's not for everybody. It's a niche, So knowing the market and knowing what needs to happen. Like I couldn't have my black clients like smoking weed outside. Like the cops around here fucked
Hot.
up. Fuck the
Yep.
cops. It just needed to. Everything that's happened was at a need, or a draw. It's like one of the two. So it's like we got the speakers need to be louder because speakers keep breaking.
Yep.
Like I'm losing money on how much downtime there is and how many extra pairs of speakers I have because of how often someone's just breaking the speakers. But now the Augsburgers, you literally couldn't break them. Like a personal break before the speakers break.
Yeah,
I had a dream where my Augsburgers killed me.
They came alive.
No, the feedback, I like unplugged something and it just started feeding back and the feedback got so loud so fast I passed out.
Oh
Wow.
Yeah, but I
What a
was,
way to
and
go.
I told my wife about the dream, and she was like, "Oh no!" And I was like, "It was lit. I was like, my speakers are loud.
So that's how I want to go out.
I'm not
Exactly.
gonna lie.
Yo,
I saw all of that in an Adult Swim in my mind.
Oh,
I
I
was
love
just
it.
like, yo, can
Right.
we get an animator from Robot Chicken to do this for him, please? That'd be
Robot
Oh,
hilarious.
can we please get someone to animate that story?
Yes, yes.
I'll throw down for that.
One question I want to have within like these 2 years where you're just grinding heavy. Boston at that time, I would say, was honestly like picking up.
Yeah, 2012 Boston scene was combative and cutthroat and confused, and it changed so much from 2012 to 2016, and from 2016 to now, I would say is like the second era of Boston hip hop.
Yes, yes,
For sure.
Would you like? Of course, you know it's a business where I help you out, you help me out. Who were the people who were just starting to become your your beginning sessions from the area that you're like, Bernard, in 2012 it was different. You had these guys blowing up at this time.
So I don't know
If you remember.
I don't know the people that I was working with, if any of them were blowing up at the time, because I was nobody.
Yeah.
It took me a while to get the people who were doing stuff in here. God comes to mind.
Oh, yeah.
Cam G's actually introduced me to Geo, and I think that was in 2013 or 14. So that was maybe within the first 2 years, like right on that cusp. And I remembered that just being like, I was like, okay, I'm in it. Like,
Yeah.
if I do dope records with him, I know people are gonna be listening to it, and it's
Yes,
gonna
sir.
bring the next. And I love fucking all the effects, and that was a fucking blast. This is like bringing me back.
That's what we try to do then.
Yeah,
Nostalgia.
man. And, just from getting to know you a little bit, like your personality is contagious. You make people feel
Appreciate
comfortable. What do you think, makes clients come back to you, right? Like when somebody sees the studio, do you think it's the setup? Do you think it's your personality?
Yeah,
like,
the setup used to suck, so it's not the setup, but it does help. And
Yeah.
people want to take pictures and shit on in the studio. So there's like those are fringe benefits, I'll call them.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
always about the sound. Like if this place closed and I had to go to a shed, my clients would still go there. Like they used to come like when the AC broke and it was hot as shit. Like they still put up with it. It's not just because of the amenities. It's all about like the quality. And if like the engineers here for whatever reason had to, like if I changed and kicked everybody out, their clients would follow them. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
about the engineers are way more important than the physical spaces.
Wow.
You can get the sound if you know what you're doing pretty much anywhere, even if you're just a little patient, if you're in like a shitty, noisy environment or whatever.
Right.
And yeah, I think anybody who's like any one of the people that I've trained is good enough to open, and start their own studio. My goal is to make it so that they don't even think that they want to do that. To make something so good
Yeah.
and to be a part of something that's going to be so big that they wouldn't chance it. That's my dream.
That's fire.
Do you foresee, and this is just piggyback off your question, Pat, do you foresee that labels in their studios, that's going to be, a past thing, and it's going to be more, I want to go to that independent kind of like spot where I can be my own. Do you see that as the trend rising?
So it is the trend because of how many like big studios have closed, especially in like the big markets where they used to be, in overly saturated markets. Studio time in LA is like widely varied. Like that you can get 12 hours for $200 or $2,000. You know what I mean?
Wow,
Boston,
yeah.
that doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
So like building up the market, I think can happen in any place, and it just is a natural thing depending on how much generating capital there is from that, whatever it is. If you're doing music in a big music city, there can be a lot of money spent on it, and so there can be a lot of need for the highest and best. And there's always going to be people driving cars, and then there's always going to be NASCAR. And just because there's less NASCAR races doesn't mean that their cars aren't getting faster.
Yeah,
So
right,
studios
right.
are going to be getting better and cooler and all that shit. Like we're still going into the future. It's just maybe going to be less necessary, and home studios are going to get nicer and nicer.
Yeah. Would you equate it to like, Airbnb, what Airbnb to the hotel industry, or,
Oh, yeah.
Uber to taxi?
Yes. Whoa.
Yeah, but maybe it's a little bit different in that the hotel industry is fucked because Airbnb is so much better than
Right,
hotels because you don't have to run into people. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what hotels are gonna do.
Right.
I think studios have an advantage in that, like I said, people don't want to clean up their own houses. When you go to a studio, you don't want to have to clean up after yourself. That's one of the benefits. You don't have to do that in Airbnb. You don't have to do that at a hotel. But all things being the same, Airbnb is going to be better. Same thing with studios whoever the client is and whatever their, status and what they can afford, that's going to be like their path. Like it's not smart for them to spend extra money on the studio if they can't yet. And if they can, then that is smart for them because they're not wasting their money or their time, trying to figure out how to make their own shit sound good. Right. So like I love seeing all the different levels up, someone can take. And then like I've even had to stop doing some of the stuff myself and have to like, find someone who's maybe even better than me at the thing that I was trying to like, do for my business. Right. And, it's cool seeing that growth.
Yeah, that's fire what you were saying about how studios it's like something about a studio you can't duplicate. It's like, it's like hardcover books versus a Kindle. It's like you can come up with all the nuances and innovations, but you can't replace a hardcover book.
Yeah, and people still sell hardcover books. They might become less, and they might become even more expensive because of that. But they'll always be different. It is different.
And what would you say, in terms of the relationship between you and your clients and when you're in the studio itself? Like I'm picturing a photographer guiding the model of like, twist your hips this way or you're a tiger. Like, do you have that interaction with clients where it's like, yo, you pause the music. It's like, yo, you could do more inflection here. Yeah.
So generally it depends on like the level of trust, but luckily I've gotten to work with some really big people now. And so people tend to trust me. Yeah. Before it was maybe more of a struggle and getting to be heard and being right, I guess. So I had like a good teacher at Berklee, Adelstein, who's like one of the only things that I really take with me is like, you can have an infinite number of ideas and that's great, but don't take them too personally. Like don't think that just because you had an idea that it should go into the song. Right. Just throw it out there. If everyone loves it, it goes in the song. If everyone doesn't, cool, come up with another one.
Yeah, and move on.
Exactly, and don't take it personally. And as soon as I stopped taking it personally and had enough like success to feel comfortable with myself, and then it just cycles in this way where your clients like you more, you like your clients more because they like you more, and then you do better, and then they like you more because you're doing better. Oh yeah. And then it just keeps going up, and it's like, oh, this shit's getting easier, not harder.
That's a gem, right? Yeah. I'm taking notes on that. Yeah, like letting go of that.
It's all recorded, baby.
Oh yeah.
So you don't have to take notes.
It's all good. You're right.
I have a gem of a question to ask. Like you are, God. He's one character out of Boston. Yeah. So like right after you linked with him,
it was a God Millyz session too. That was like right after, and that was like,
what?
It's happening.
I knew it was. I saw that picture.
Yeah.
I saw that picture on your Instagram.
Yo, if we look at that video, you can see what the studio looked like in 2014. What was that song? Legacy.
Okay. Yes.
God Millyz Legacy.
Wow.
And I can't even pull up like song titles from songs that I did with like most people. Like that's like one of the very few in my brain. That's just like, I remember when they shot a music video in my studio and I was like, this is fucking it. This is fucking cool.
Hell yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit, but my studio kind of looks bad. I got a lot of work to do, but it's getting there.
Well, before you were in a spot where there was dog piss, and then now there's a spot that's all yours. When you had that moment with God and Millyz, iconic guys out of Boston who are making their way, what did that feel like back to the family? Like going back to your brother being like, I'm in, this is my career.
I don't think they knew that wouldn't show them it. Yeah, you know what I mean? Right. Like even for like Jeezy for my mom isn't anybody, but for my sister, huge. Yes. Like you know what I mean? So it's different for the different age groups, but like as soon as I hit Snoop, it was over.
Oh yeah.
For whatever reason,
Snoop a household name.
And Snoop lives up to the legend big time. He was literally the coolest person that I've had in the studio from like famous people. No disappointment. He's been back, smoked with us. He's just a cool motherfucker.
Hell yeah.
Like for me, I had 2 tracks on his album.
Real?
Yeah. Wow. I forgot to post about it, but it was lit.
Wow.
Like for me, like seeing your success is just like unbelievable, and I'm like, this is for me, like as a black dude in Boston, I'm just like, wow, this is happening in our state. Like these people are coming out here, not going to Foxwoods or anywhere else. They're coming to Somerville.
Yeah,
like,
Somerville, right? Random as shit.
Right. I'm hitting up all my promoters. I'm like, is something going on tonight? Because I heard that Rick Ross might be stopping by, or like big names might be stopping by, and they stop by. But I feel like they do their little promo, like at the club. Yeah. But I'm like, what are they really doing here this weekend? And
what are they doing at 3 p.m.?
Exactly. What are they doing at 2 o'clock in the morning? And it looks like they're out here, these big names, these big artists for you. When did you start getting like, oh man, I'm dealing with some of the toughest names in the business. I might need to put a third lock on this door real quick.
Couple years ago is when it really, Jeezy kicked it off 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
2019, LilBaby happened, and then it's game over. Pandemic fucked everything in terms of there hasn't been a show, so there's been no acts. Lil TJ, management called us to make sure the studio is open tonight. We'll see. But it's always 50-50 at best odds, no matter what. So you just play the game. But it's lit, making a space better and better. And they asked us what kind of speakers we got, and I was like, the loudest ones in Boston.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And, what you were mentioning with Lil TJ's folk hitting you up, and it's like, they come or they don't. It goes back to that. They
were here for a week last time. So,
okay. And it goes back to, letting go. It's like, if they don't come, it's on to the next because we got this, broader vision.
And I don't care anymore because I've worked with some famous people and have been burned and, have had the experiences that I needed to want what I want now, which is to break an artist. You just can't get the same respect from, the artists that you want to work with, if you're talking about the big names, unless you helped create them. Unless they really appreciate you from the ground up. And I desperately want to not have to have my stomach turn ever again in my life if I can help it. And that was from, who's the super, super rich dude who's always saying decently good quotes?
Will Smith.
No. Starts with a B. I can't think of his name. I keep thinking Bernie Madoff, and I'm like, not that fucking asshole.
Yo,
I'm sure it'll come to you.
It probably won't. But
honestly, just to see the expansion of where you're going, the vision that you're taking it, and the relationships that you've made, man, is just unbelievable. Yeah. Is there a song that you have a plaque or anything?
So I'm saving for my plaques right now. I'm trying to get some ducks in a row. Yeah. And I'm gonna order all of them that I can.
Yeah.
I'm seeing which ones I'm gonna have to go through some bullshit for. I just found out one of my songs I did with LilBaby that the first one that I knew was gonna be 100 million song, that I thought didn't come out, did come out. Josh just played it for me a couple days ago. Wow. So I was like, damn.
Can't wait for that.
Can't wait. Got another one with that.
What's communication typically like? Where it's
Labels.
Once you finish,
you have to deal with. It sucks.
Yeah,
it's the worst.
So they're not responsible for reaching out to you.
No, that's why that shit happens all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. I would say most albums have missing credits.
Wow.
The album that I worked with, even on Jeezy, I had one of my bass players from this band Crumb play on it, and they didn't credit him right on the song that was with Kendrick and J. Cole.
Wow.
That's he was upset, and I was like, I feel you, dude.
Yeah. And when this stuff happens, you taught us, you said, you can't take it personal. You just have to know that this is kind of the industry in the game. You take these things.
I learned that after the fact, though.
Yeah, right. In the moment, you were like, yo.
Personal.
Yeah.
How do you teach your engineers and how do you teach your fellow musicians, hey, not to take it personal? There's ways to get that credit.
You have to get them there, and it's just about how long it takes. That it's grating on you when you grind for a really long time and you don't get respect, you don't get paid enough, all of those things. So if I can cut out some of those things, it makes a less painful existence, and then people grow faster, and then they get to that spot that I want them to be at, way faster. Josh, my engineer, has been with me 3 years, is as good as I am now. It doesn't need to take as long as I took, and I don't plan on making it take that long for anybody else. I just want to speed up the process as much as possible.
That's amazing.
I had some benefits in the time period that I grew up in, bands. I played in a band, recorded bands. My first, one of my plaques that I got orders from that band, Crumb. I think that's technically going to be I've been low-key waiting for that one to go gold. So I can have that be the first plaque I order, because that one means the most to me. Because that was just those were my friends from Tufts, and they weren't going to do any shows. They'd done 5 different bands between the 5 of them in different groups over the 4 years they were there. Came in, recorded it. I mixed most of it myself, and they went to 3 different states. Weren't going to do any shows. The bass player's girlfriend's younger brother, who went to my high school in Arizona,
random,
random connections, posted it on Reddit's Listen to This, and it got 800 upvotes that night. Got added to Spotify, 20,000 plays.
Wow.
SoundCloud, 20,000 plays, and then they were like, we gotta maybe do something. They moved all back to New York, and now they're like playing huge festivals.
Oh my God,
they're,
that's
like
amazing.
they're like on like Lollapalooza this year. Like,
That's an amazing story.
I'm like, yo, we got to post this on our page, get the numbers up, boost it up to the gold.
you guys gotta listen to Crumb too. Boost up your life. That music's fucking it.
Boost up your life. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, check out the music video for Lock It next time you do take some, some boomers.
Okay.
That.
One thing I have to ask, John, like, do you think that there needs to be another avenue, another lane for when you don't get that shine or that credit to do what your friend's little brother did?
There is a lane now with everyone's got a lane because there's like you got your phone
Because you got access.
Yo, people you have a fucking studio and a camera. You got way more technology than someone did 10 years ago. Everyone has access to, and that's unnerving, I think, because then it's like, oh, competition must be so high, but it's really about drive. Like if you want to do it and are doing it, there's plenty of free information out there on how to do stuff. It's not as gate kept anymore. And I feel like labels are going to feel the burn in terms of like there's going to be a lot more independent artists. A lot. And I'm excited about not having to fuck with labels
anymore.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Right. And I can imagine so many young artists are comparing themselves, like with that access to information. You also just see these lifestyles that may be fake in terms of the way that they're being portrayed. But comparison is the theft of joy. So like for
that's a great one. That really is. Like I heard that like a long time ago. Like not a long, like during the pandemic, and I was like, that hit different, and it really. Yeah, when you don't compare, it's better.
Right. Because a lot of comparison happens on the subconscious level. It's not like we scrolling and we're like, I'm comparing myself to this person. It's just like reference points. It's like, damn, it seems like everybody doing something and I'm not, you know?
Especially when everyone's just posting their best. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, no, like I wish there was just like a random time that a picture got taken and got posted without anyone's, just so you could see what people were doing, and it was like more real. That would be wild. People would not be down for that.
That seemed to be what Instagram did a little bit with taking away likes, because then it was like, do you just like the picture, or do you like how many likes? Yeah, they brought them back now.
Oh yeah, okay, good. I'm not sure.
They brought them back.
Hide them now. If you want to hide them, you can hide them.
Right.
It's interesting.
Yeah. These are the mind games we play. Yo, so, you were mentioning some of the artists. I'm so, like, the list goes on. Like, you brought up Snoop. I didn't even realize you worked with Snoop. Like, you doing amazing things. To Bernie's question about, like, the talent that you bring out here, and then, you being a white man in these spaces where you're working with predominantly black artists, is there ever, where does your identity come in when you're dealing with these artists? Like, do you ever feel white in these spaces?
Oh yeah, totally.
Like,
like LilBaby's called me out on like putting too many effects on it. He's like, he calls it white boy bullshit.
I heard it in his voice just now too.
It's funny as shit. You learn about, what the culture difference is, and it's fucking huge.
Yeah. But talent speaks.
I also am just like the person I am today from hanging out with the hip hop and black people. And so I'm thankful for, just getting the opportunity, because I didn't listen to hip hop. Kendrick's album was the only album I like. Good Kid, Mad City I bought in like 2008. Was the only hip hop album that I had when I started the studio. So like hip hop came to me. I didn't ask for it, and I fucking am so thankful that it is what it is, and it became big while I was doing it. Like hip hop wasn't as big as it is 10 years ago. It was like in competition with rock, but rock was still bigger. And it's wild to think about that it was bands on the radio every day, and now it's beats.
It's
like
it just sounds so good right
it's
now.
Crazy. I just feel like I lucked out, picked the right lane without picking it, and it can't, like Seth, thank you, shout out to Seth. I can trace like the majority of my studio's lineage from one of my first interns. Seth, he found a flyer, came to the studio, was like, bro, I gotta spread the word. And I was too shy, wasn't black, didn't know anybody who's doing music. Like all the other people were Berklee kids, and they're all broke because they have student loans. Like little did I know that none of my Berklee friends would be able to afford to record. So it was just like a culture shock right in the beginning, and hip hop was different even in Boston. Like the artists I was working with in the beginning, I remember some of them were just much harder than even just my general clientele now. just because of like the real fucking lives that they were living, you know. And
yeah.
a bunch of my clients, a few of my clients have been murdered, a few of them have gone to jail, and you know, a bunch of them gotten out and been happy. Like Ricky Graham's, he's locked up right now. Hunter Roncato, he's my boy. I've known him since 2014. He gets out soon.
And then making fire music again.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful and painful and joyful experience.
Absolutely.
You know, the black community goes through a fucking lot. Like, I've never had to deal with the police before, but after having the studio, I've had to deal with the police a bunch.
Yeah.
For nothing that you guys actually did.
Right.
Ever. Like, one time I went under the garage door, and then like 10 feet behind me, my black client did, and someone called the cops.
Wow.
Fire truck called the cops.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, and they showed up, and we had to, like, everyone had to show their IDs, and I was just like, this is such bullshit. Like, what makes you think that someone's just robbing the place because they're going under an open, like, it was open like this much.
Yeah.
And that was the first time. And then we've had, you know, a few different interactions, but it's died down. I think they know that we're not fucking going, and I think the culture of the, you know, we've seen people change over the past 6 years. Black Lives Matter really opened up a lot of people's eyes. I don't know if it opened up a bunch of cops' eyes, but you know, the city definitely has a different policy on how they deal with smoking weed, and that was like a predominant way on how to police the black community constantly.
Yeah,
it's an easy way. It was like, if you smoke weed, we do anything you want. You know, we can just search you.
Yeah.
And now that that's gone, you know, there's just less harassment, and that's awesome.
Well, these are the pain points for honestly having your own studio and starting your own business, like you said. But one thing that I'm actually like, I'm curious about, did you have a partner through all of this, or this is really like you on your own? Because from the walk that you showed us in the studio, we can see your personality and your character all around each studio, every piece. So I'm just wondering, with the business, these late nights, was it all you, going back to you? And yes, you may ask an expert, but is it really all you?
Yeah, it was me in the beginning. But from what it is now, this is not just me.
Yeah.
Like literally, Josh, I would not be where I am without having gotten a second wind of hope for like being able to train somebody. I'd kind of given up on it. I was doing the stuff with Jeezy. My assistant at the time was renting out my second room, but was kind of like his mixes were getting worse instead of better. And I just like didn't know what I was doing wrong. Josh came along, you know, I actually we didn't hit it off right away. It wasn't coming in all the time, but then, you know, relationship grew. By the summer, he was recording G.O.D., and he fucking was like in love with hip hop. Like there's no one he loves Kanye arguably more than anybody I've ever met.
Yeah.
And I'm so lucky that someone who knew about hip hop from jump, you know, like that's their bag. Like I'll always have like the rock and like I have a Steve Vai guitar tattooed on my back. Like it's like his biggest song has 100,000 like albums sold, like his biggest album. You know what I mean? But when I was 14, that was like, if I'd worked with him, I'd be like, that's like working with God.
Yeah.
Literally, you know what I mean? So like perspectives shift, and I'm really, really lucky to, you know, have worked with who I worked with, and they're the reason that, you know, the studio could grow. Like one person can't do all of this, and we have a bunch of players now that are making it what it is.
Yeah.
That's amazing, man.
And you know, again, I just want to big up, you know, uplift you in terms of your personality, you know, in terms of the law of attractions. It's like, even right now, as things are continuing to build, you got this crew with you. You know, more and more people are believing in you, and it's because you live in a life where like you believe in you, and it radiates out, you know what I mean?
And I
like,
believe in other
it.
people. Like it is fucking possible, because I did it, and if I did it, other people can definitely do it, and I'll make it happen for a bunch of people to make that effect keep going.
Yeah.
Like I want to convince people that there's you know, a good way to do it, because the music industry is notoriously shady too. Like there's a lot of bad actors in the music industry, and it's not like, it's not great to, you know, be associated and worry about your perception all the time. And I want to make sure that it's fucking solid.
The thing that I love, or at least like what I'm learning, especially from like this interview, is like you can see where the music industry, like the trends of what's happening to the business, what's affecting these artists, to make them want to like, you know, leave that environment to seek out to seek out this studio, and then not only just keeping that to yourself, which is usually a tendency of Boston. Sometimes
Totally.
we don't like to celebrate that artist that's doing well because he dated my ex and I don't really like that guy. It's like they do this way too much where it's like that's another person from Boston that you want to just support and rise. With you, what I love is like you really created a haven where it's like the learnings that you've done your 10,000 hours as like everyone says to master like a skill. Yes, he's done it, but then now he's not holding it, he's sharing it to teach the next person. And in a weird sense, he's kind of like crypto. He's basically destroying the dollar. He's destroying these labels.
Crypto.
Like how you're doing it, I love it. You're caring about the users by the listeners to give
it's a
the
value-based system.
Yes, that's what I'm seeing versus what the labels do, which is very like monetize. The second he's in there, I want to monetize that music video. I want to monetize every little bit. Oh, that credit. And I'm just like, wow, he wants to uplift, allow others to grow like he's grown. He even said it. 3 years, I'm shortening it to 2 years, 1 year.
Yeah,
you learn.
it's for selfish reasons too, because it benefits me when we all succeed. Like Boston, if it's bigger, everything's bigger.
Yeah.
You know, like we can have more studios, bigger artists, bigger shows.
Right.
It's been getting bigger, and if it continues, like there's no limit. And if a bunch of people fucking believe it, you know, like there's competition. Like Miami might not be, you know, the C city. We can take over Atlanta. Atlanta was nothing 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Shit changes.
Yes.
Like I've only had the studio for 10 years. I might have it for 30, 40 more years.
Right.
Yeah, time is a motherfucker. Time is a cool thing. Like I was thinking about grains of sand, you know, the sands of time, and like that shit does just go one little fucking piece at a time and builds a mountain.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm here for the selfish reasons that uplift the community, because it's like at the end of the day, you know, because you could say that it's selfish, that it's a human tendency to want to belong somewhere. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
knowing what people want and their needs is like, and not holding that against them. It like people want recognition. Yeah, that's not something that's like wrong. Right. Making sure that you know what different people want and different people have different needs is like, I think, one of my strengths. And like I heard it, you know, like, you know, kind of like or you try to not play people, but you try to like orchestrate. You know, like a symphony needs a conductor. You know, you need like a building needs a, you know, contract. You need someone in charge to do it and have a vision. And it's been really cool to get to see my vision come to life. But I've also gotten to like benefit from training people who then catch stuff that I miss.
Nice.
You know what I mean? So like I constantly am getting like little like I've every single time that I like get a new key command, I know who I got it from, when it happened. Like that shit is like, you know, just sticks in my brain for a weird reason. So I've almost every one of my interns has like showed me something that they don't even know that I didn't know before they showed me. You know what I mean? So like it's all beneficial if, you know, you have the right mindset to, you know, benefit from it.
Yeah, and hearing you talk about music and, you know, just learning about the technology and the equipment, it's clear that you're a student of the game. And so
the equipment's gotten cheaper.
Yeah, that's real. Like, what role do you feel like lifelong learning plays? Like when you approach this game,
adaptability.
Do you feel like,
being adaptable, because I don't know what it's going to be in 10 years. Because if it wasn't this 10 years ago, you know what I mean? It might not be this again. And be totally different. I definitely think we all hear the punk shit coming back. Yeah. Like you hear
Machine
those
Gun
guitars,
Kelly.
you hear those, exactly. You hear the people who are the tastemakers who are taking those risks and they're playing, and then other people are going to follow. And so like, that's going to be the next, like we had the retro wave, 80s synth wave, you know, for the past 5 years with The Weeknd. Punk is the next one, 90s.
Right.
I have a wacky off-topic question. It's just something I'm very curious about just because I see in the photos. You are, to me, like when it comes to like engineers, you know, producers, like a mini Allen Iverson. And Allen Iverson had an iconic sleeve.
Oh yeah,
please
I'm not
talk
even
to us.
Wearing it today.
Yes, please talk about your sleeve. Are you hurt?
Okay, I
or
am.
Not?
Yes, all the time.
I never knew.
I work a little too much, and you know, it's been 10 years of doing it, and my desk for a few of those years was a piece of shit, and I wore a wrist brace for 2 years straight, which limited my range of motion. So like, on this hand, I can make like a right angle. Yeah. And on this hand, this is as far as I can go.
Wow. John, I had a ganglion cyst on my wrist, so I know exactly what you mean. I can't even do it myself. Like, it doesn't start bulging out. Yeah. But I was always curious, man. That sleeve you have, I'm like, it's so cool.
KT tape looks fucking cool. feels fucking great.
Yeah.
And comes in every color that you can imagine.
So
and
what is the science behind that? Because I see mad Olympians, using it. And
I think it helps the like fascial muscles or whatever with blood flow, but it really just feels like someone's doing this. So like if you grab your arm and pull and feel like how it just like if anything was sore, it just feels like this all day.
Right.
And that's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, so I have no idea how it works though. Everyone always asks me and I'm like, I don't know.
Right. I just know it works.
KT tape? That's what it's called?
KT tape, kinetic tape.
All right, cool.
Got you.
Well, reach out
Okay.
to that. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Yo, some people think it's a tattoo. Every once, like I had people like comment that they were like, I thought that was just a straight black tattoo, and I was like, that would be wild.
Yeah. People be doing blackout tattoos though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's just like all black. That's crazy.
I'm not gonna lie, like I thought it was like a part of your pose too. It was just like this, and I saw the sleeve. I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Like,
Yeah,
I
no,
need that.
the iconic. I just never know what to do. This just ended up being my default.
Yeah, that's real. Yo, so, I want to ask a question that it's actually asked by this Buddhist monk. His name is Jay Shetty. He has his own podcast. Shout out Jay Shetty. Love you. But he asks, you seem like someone who is very connected to, logic and logical next steps, but also kind of like spirituality and, beyond this physical existence. And so, I just want to tap into that for a second and ask two questions. The first of which is going to be, how would you classify your ideology, if that makes sense? Like, what is your belief here? I'll ask this. What is your belief about human nature? Like like if you think about humans in general, what do you think is the truest thing about human beings?
Creation. But I'm not sure if I'm right. But that's like the gist of what I've gotten from when I've, I had moments where I feel like I'm straight up talking to God or something,
Yeah.
Like that it's about creating.
Like we all have like
That we
little
are
me.
like consciousness is its own thing, and it is just like from creation and creates and wants to create, like the way gravity wants to pull things down.
Yeah.
Consciousness wants to create.
So we're almost vehicles of creation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
That's fire.
Yeah.
And then my second question would just be, if you had the authority to create one rule that everybody in the world had to follow, it doesn't have to be, like something with the legal system. It could just be a philosophy of life that everyone has to follow.
Like a golden rule?
Like a golden rule,
Would be cool.
what would that be?
Listen more than you talk.
I want to tat that on my body. That's amazing, man.
And I could, listen more than I talk to. So I like to remind myself of, something that probably the whole world could use too.
It's funny, those two coupled with each other, like creation being, us being vehicles of creation, and then listening more than you talk. That is what you do.
Yes.
Like you in the studio, you listening, you hearing things, and for all the hours.
Yeah, I'm not talking a lot. Sometimes when I'm in the studio, I'm like ignoring I hear what's going on, and I'm hearing that people are approving of what I'm doing.
Right.
But I'm like, eyes are
focus.
on this.
Tunnel
Exactly.
vision.
Exactly. It takes me like a couple seconds to even like lock off, and like respond to what someone's saying.
Yeah.
But a lot of that's like my hype moment though. Like I love being in the zone. I don't feel like I'm ignoring people when I'm just like going,
Hell yeah. And being in the zone is like, finding your flow state, in positive psychology. It's like when you're in your flow state, it has the ability to transform time.
Yeah,
like
totally.
You were talking about losing yourself.
And you don't care that you don't care how much time is going by.
right.
It doesn't, you really enjoy what you're doing. And so you're good to doing it for however long your body says it can do it for.
It's like I'm doing exactly what I need to be doing at this exact moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm really lucky that I get to help people do music because people love music so much. Like there's plenty of things that I could have been good at. And if it were construction, it would be great. And there are definitely people who love construction, but there are people who love music more than there are people who love construction.
Right.
If you know what I mean. Like there's just a deep, when it comes to something that has like art and people's, stories, it's really personal and like it just matters so much to people. And I've gotten to just get to be a part of so many people telling their stories. And that's like a beautiful thing. That's like the creation and getting to listen.
Absolutely.
I feel like, I'm sorry, Pat, for cutting you off. But I feel like to that point, being a vehicle of creation, you're also able to kind of like see what we kind of want to create next. That next thing that
I get a little preview.
Yeah.
And I get to see a lot of the type beats. You know, what type beats people are using. I knew LilBaby was going LilBaby type beats for a straight year, only like LilBaby type beats. I could show you my downloads folder from 2017, and it was just LilBaby type beats.
Wow. I wanted to ask, like, with this, you know, I guess you can say like a outer person, inner person kind of experience that you can have, like that second to step outside to see and then come back. Where do you see music's trend going next? Not like the next artist, really, if you will, but you kind of hinted that it might merge a little with punk.
So I think it's gonna be either like a causal thing with instruments because of, you know, people just miss playing, and there's gonna be, you know, Machine Gun Kelly's playing the guitar. Yeah, that's gonna influence a bunch of people to buy it.
So was Wayne ahead of his time?
Fuck yeah, bro. He fucking was. And Kanye set up a bunch of these like this set, you know, that's allowed. There's just been breaks, and now it's like, okay, no, it's people are like really honing in on a very specific emo genre of punk that's 90s and not like the 70s punk. You know, not like from, I can't think of any fucking bands right now.
Oh, no, that's good.
But yeah, one of the like old UK rock bands is just like, hey, in the UK. It's like it's not like that. It's like way more like whiny punk
picture in
shit.
plaid.
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
We did have a music where we were in that little cryy, all my feelings kind of stage with, I don't want to name them, but like Trippie Redd, they're like XX a little bit. Breaking off of that, I love literally anytime I see like some of the big rappers do exactly what you said, add instruments. Yeah. I feel like the pandemic put us in a musical renaissance of we have to reestablish a creativity kind of.
And a bunch of people were reacquainted with their old friends, you know, like their old guitars, like old whatever they play, because they didn't have a person that they could spend time with. Like I definitely made more music during the pandemic and the year after than I have in the whole 9 years before.
Well, with that, like sometimes you'll hear like, or here's an up and coming artist, Lizzo, like she does the flute.
So fire.
And I wanted to ask, like, you'll hear like Future and Drake drop a flute in there and stuff. And then
Future's famous for the flute.
Yeah.
Do you think that when you said that people will go back to their instruments, do you think that there's going to be like, I don't know, classical instruments or whatnot dropped into like music that comes out in the future?
No.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I hope I'm wrong to some extent. You know what I mean? Like maybe the viola is going to come back in a huge way. But I bet the violin would beat it out. So I think it's going to be some of the like major players, if anything. Yeah. Maybe the saxophone is going to make a comeback. Ooh. I think the jazz, you know, thing is going to come back around. I think it's like really, really old, and Kendrick did it, you know, a little bit, but it really wasn't explored a lot, and jazz has not come back. Yeah. I think when jazz comes back, it'll be like, that's like the, you know, when the cycle starts again, you know, and then it'll just go back to like the 80s synth and then punk again. And then
and then there's the timeless instruments like piano, guitar, drums.
Yeah, piano is just an amazing instrument. Like it's not totally, you know, old, but it's been perfected a bunch of times, like the harpsichord and then the piano and then the forte piano. And it's definitely like in the top two for me. Guitar, piano, violin, or cello. Those are like.
Does anyone use the triangle anymore?
Yep.
That was nice.
Yeah.
My flick was nice.
One thing I wanted to also like comment on, you definitely have, and I'm going to continue saying this so the world knows, this man's evolved, all right? He literally was like level 1 Pokemon, but now he's literally running the whole show that we actually have to rename Pokemon cards John Scott. You know, like it's something mixed. But
buying back my Pokemon cards.
Right.
You have shown us where the studio was and to now where the studio is. And you also have told us a little bit about, hey, to everyone out there, when you're starting out, there's a lot of highs and lows. There's tough conversations. There's that position where you're like, if I'm going to start a career and provide for a family, I need to make sure I know what I'm doing. I'm giving my all. When you also like talked about like losing credit and that's just the way it goes, do you think that you have to tell your engineers, take pictures, create your own story, make it happen. Because I remember back in the day when I first linked up with you, it was something that you were saying that you have to do. It's going to help you get to the next level. How hard is it, do you think, like for your engineers, because they're working, they can't really, hold on real quick.
They're better at it than me. They're way better at it than me. Because they were just born into it. Like I joined Instagram late. None of them did. Right. You know what I mean?
They're telling their story.
Natives.
Totally. And they're just actually physically used to using the apps more than I am. Right. Like I'm doing other stuff for the most part, but there's like all of the art stuff in video that's on these apps that I want to learn how to do and perfect. And so there's a whole nother like, you know, plan that I have for vertical integration to, you know, try to learn a few more of the hats so that I can find people who really want those hats and, you know, keep it going.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. Because I feel like in the beginning, you know, you used to show us the table. You used to show us the work. You didn't and you even said it right now. You don't even like post about your success so much. It's really just like the grind. Do you think that that's a key piece that you have to add to your game, that social piece, so people know your work if you don't get credited?
I think that everyone's got like a strategy, and depending on what your strengths are at the moment, you play to them. So if your strengths are that you got work right now and you can be taking pictures, like I have some pictures that I can still post. That doesn't go away. Like I can still post, like I have one picture with like LilBaby's chain that I just like know is gonna go crazy one day, but I haven't posted it yet. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so like the long game is what I would recommend for some people who want instant success. Yeah. Is to like just pay attention to like the fact that even if you do get what you want, you still have to live life. Yeah. So make sure that you succeed in what you want to be doing, because it's a dangerous game to succeed in something you don't want to do. Yeah. So true. Yeah. You know, be in the right lane if you were, like, whether it be music or like sometimes we have interns who really want to be artists and not engineers, and that's like our biggest problem with, you know, people who won't learn Pro Tools and won't get to that next stage because they at their core just want to be making music. Right. And so they come and because they want to be in the studio and it's a close, like it's a, you know, parallel, but it's not actually what they want to be doing. So sometimes I would say like people have to just be like honest with themselves about what they're good at, what the world needs, and what they want to do. Yeah. And you're like, there's this Japanese life circles Venn diagram, and it has 3 things, and it's like what you can get paid to do, what you're good at, and what you love. And when you're in the center with all 3, it's called like IBIZTKU something. Mm-hmm. And that's like what I got. Like I love that I get to do what I'm good at, what I love, and what makes money. Yeah. 100%. Yeah, and I want that. I just want that for everybody. Yeah, 100%.
That's amazing.
And you know what really resonated with what you were just saying is around, you know, that that pleasure churn. You know, the short term pleasure of like likes, or you know, it has a real.
I don't have Instagram like notifications turned on, and it got turned on recently somehow, and it's like it is. I see how it can become a thing, especially if you let it. But if I forget about it and I'm doing, like I said, the real stuff, and real stuff is happening, then it doesn't really matter as much. It's more of just part of whatever is going on. Like you post it and you hope it does well, but if it doesn't do well, it's not like it's the end of the world. Right. It's
and it doesn't define the quality of my...
Exactly. And it's just a smaller piece of sand. You know, it still is adding to everything. If I'm doing the right things, if I think it's the right thing, I don't have to reflect on the result. I just want to reflect on like the process and make sure that like I think it's the right thing. And you know, every once in a while I'll check in with the results and make sure I'm not stupid and doing the fucking wrong thing. But if shit's not working one time, I don't just stress that out. I do it a few times, you know, and then adjust.
And it's like that's retaking control of the situation, because it's like if you can find healing in the process and not the end result or the validation, then it's like that's how you make this thing sustainable. And so, you know, as you think about, you know, an industry where, you know, after you finish a song that you've been grinding on, it's like, all right, so what's next? You know, what do you see as your long game? You know, your long-term validation?
I want to write songs. I want to produce beats, and I want to work closely with artists making, you know, music that is inside of my head and put it out into the world.
Unbelievable.
Simple.
Yeah, ideally.
Create.
Yeah, and if I could mix a track without touching a computer, that would be lit to like either with like my mind or something. That's another. Like,
We getting there. All right.
putting that out there.
Are we going in the future? Are we doing augmented mixing right now?
Yo, I really, really want to. So you can move like you can do a bunch of stuff with like, just thinking. They have like that thing at Sharper Image from like even 20 years ago where you could just like move a ball up and down with just your brain. They're getting to this like that Elon Musk link shit. It won't be too far off to where I could just think like Fab Filter and it'll open the plugin. Wow. And I want to be the first one to do that. Bad. Caitlin's not going to be happy. She's like, you're not getting a chip in your brain.
I was gonna.
Oh, get a helmet.
Right.
I was
right.
like, I'll wear whatever.
That'll be fire.
You're like, you're right. We're getting a chip in our brain.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing, man. Man, more power to you, John. With all that you're doing, and honestly, like everyone who you're helping, it just seems that you are in a state of zen right now, man.
I'm leaving for LA in like a week, and so like I right now on the interview am not feeling any of it, but was like in tears last night because I'm like heartbroken that I have to leave. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How often do you travel, man? Like, I mean, this
year I haven't
home-based.
left it all, but before this, I was taking flights every month.
Yeah. Said 100. What year was it? You took
2017 or 2018, I took 100 flights.
How did his eardrum still work when
that's
it
a
must
fact.
have been getting
I
popped like crazy?
I got sick like 6 times that year or something, and haven't gotten sick since.
There you go, man. There you go.
Because it's like not only are you taking those flights, you're staying there for short stints of time to fit in 100.
24-hour time. Sometimes I'm there. Like it's stupid to fly somewhere, do a 24-hour session, and fly back, and then have them call you the next day.
Right.
And they're like, "We want you out again." And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
He's flying more than basketball players do in the season, I think. Like, this is crazy.
2017 you was seeing where you gonna be now, just like you right now is seeing where you gonna be in 20 years.
Yeah, but it's also, like I said, it's about making like the vision of what I want my life to be happen. Like, do I want to be taking 100 flights a year? Do I want to be gone 200 days? How can I avoid that? And so like seeing that was like a blessing because like I was like, if I am really good, I'm gonna be valued. And how can I be valued and still get what I want?
Right.
Without having to just, be someone's, high price and be gone all the time. I could still do it just my way.
Right.
Honestly, man, like, again, when I mentioned, like, the state of zen, how do you continue? And, like, Pat asked earlier, you're always learning. How do you stay positive? Like, do you play video games? Like, do you do anything to offset?
I don't do video games, but I've been getting into the video, the camera, photography, video shit. Like, that's a break for me, like, from the music.
Yeah.
Like, if Allie's, like, done and she's, like, dressed and wearing something that's got a cool color and we got a chair and some lights, we're going to take photos if we got a couple hours. You know what I mean?
Nice.
We'll go to CVS and spend $40 on and like make a set design and practice. You know what I mean? Like that's fucking fun.
Yeah.
I love doing
you
that.
You need an intern?
Yeah, yo, we're looking for interns.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
Anybody on the show who's listening, please, send us some shit. PhoenixDownRecording@gmail.com.
Oh,
All right, solid.
Listen, John, man, we could chop it up forever.
Yo, I definitely could.
Yeah, we.
90 minutes blew by.
Yeah,
Like
100%.
Yeah.
This is how you want the conversations to go, man.
Yeah.
Thank you
This is
so
definitely
much
my best
for
interview
playing.
so far. This has definitely been my chillest one.
Yeah, get an applause for that. Hell yeah, man. And so, before we close out, we just want to, kind of roll out the red carpet. If there's anything you want to let the people know about
What's coming next,
what's
maybe?
coming next, how to get involved, anything like that, or just a thought.
Man, just go follow all of my engineers. We got Josh Schuback, produced by Mackie, Julia Sirocco, Ali Duty, Curtis Beaton. Am I forgetting anybody? Schofields,
The
brand
whole
new
squad.
Casso. Yeah, we got Leo. Leo's not at the studio anymore, but Leo's the legend. Mixed by Leo.
You're gonna get a text from somebody who's like, "Yo, you didn't say my name, bro."
Ed, you're almost there.
And the band that you said for us to check out before
Crumb.
I get to go. Crumb.
Crumb.
All right.
Yes,
solid.
check out the song "Lock It."
Let's get them
The
the
music
gold.
video. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, everyone. Phoenix Down Recording Studios. You're with the legend right now, John Scott. Thank you for being with us
Absolutely.
once again,
Thank
man.
you for having me.
Honestly, guy.
Absolutely, brother, man. Appreciate
All right.
you.
And that we will close out
And we out.
another episode of Boston Cultures Podcast, baby.